opponent, yes, please. Go ahead and take the 3, but better yet, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Silversmote Ghoul in the bin. Turn 1, we hit them for 3 with Creeping Chill, but also get back a 3-1. Oh boy, oh boy. Greetings, everyone. I am glad to be here, and I am glad that you are here. Today's jank is in Historic, and we are playing some graveyard shenanigans. Self-mill, as it were. There isn't actually any Dredge legal in Historic as card mechanic, of course, but as a self-mill strategy, we have some reasonable options. We get 4 Mire Tritons and 4 Stitcher Supplier right off the bat. Those are our main engines for the self-mill. We do have the opportunities to get them back with Call of the Death Dwellers and potentially Balagad Recoveries as well. We'll see. It's possible we need a little more in the way of self-mill in order to pull off our strategy as robustly as possible. We have some other options of cards that are strong magic cards and just aren't there. But we are, of course, trying to also win the game. So what are our payoffs? First and foremost, Creeping Chill is a great magic card. If we mill over enough cards, our opponent just starts on 17 and we start on 23. Very strong play if we're trying to race, let's say, a mono red deck or something. If you mill a lot of cards, sometimes your opponent starts on 14 and you start on 26. Holy cow, that's huge. Because, of course, you pay no mana and you just Lightning Helix your opponent, right? And when that is the case, you are in really good shape. We're also running Silversmote Ghouls. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained 3 or more life this turn, return Silversmote Ghoul from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So, if we mill over Creeping Chill in a turn with Silversmote Ghoul in the graveyard, we just get it back for free. Very strong indeed. Narcomoebas, also, if it's put into your graveyard from the library, you can put it right onto the battlefield. No mana required. Skyclave Shade just allows us to cast it from the graveyard if we make a land drop. So theoretically, if we mill it over into the bin and then we just keep playing the game and making our land drops, we'll be able to cast a Skyclave Shade. The primary payoff we get here, where we can just really do silly things, is Fiend Artisan, where it gets +1/+1 for each creature card in our graveyard. We can sacrifice another creature to search our library for a creature card CMC X or less, put it onto the battlefield, shuffle our library. So oftentimes, Fiend Artisan will just fetch up more Fiend Artisans, and hopefully it will be large enough to really win us some games. Alternatively, there is some Uro just to keep making land drops and stuff, and more importantly, to gain some life for Silversmote Ghoul, and to give us creatures into the bin, and a way of capitalizing on all of the cards we mill over for free. The only other card, we have 20 lands, and then 4 Balagad Recoveries, because our curve is quite low, all things considered. If you stack the cards like this, we aren't intending to cast Creeping Chills, so the most mana we'll have to spend is 3 under most circumstances. So these are fine as land drops, but more importantly, we can use them to get back cards that we mill over. So, for instance, if we mill over a Bloodchief's Thirst and we need to kill a problematic creature or planeswalker, we can grab that back. Village Rites, draw some additional cards. Alternatively, we can save a Fiend Artisan who has died to removal and get it back. Or, yeah, honestly, you can just go and grab our Mire Tritons and Stitcher Suppliers right back and recast them. We can also, if that was the plan, go and get a Call of the Death Dweller if it ended up into the bin, and then get back both a Mire Triton and Stitcher Supplier, theoretically, from the graveyard to the battlefield and mill over just a whole bunch more. So, tentatively, I think I like the list. We'll have to see, because it's still possible maybe we want, I don't know, 2 more-ish self-mill cards. So we'll find out on that front, but the only way to find that out is to play some games. So join me for a few games, eh? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are up against Kalantra. Good luck, Kalantra. And yeah, I think this hand is keepable. Lots of cards ready to make it to the bin as soon as possible. And then some way to get some graveyard value here in the Call of the Death Dwellers, so we'll see. Yeah, sure enough, opponent, yes, please. Go ahead and take the 3, but better yet, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. Silversmote Ghoul in the bin. Turn 1, we hit them for 3 with Creeping Chill, but also get back a 3/1. Oh boy, that feels very, very good indeed. So let's go ahead and hit our opponent. We're going to go ahead and also pay some life, get down a Fiend Artisan, and hopefully be able to get a real clock on our opponent next turn when we slam another Stitcher Supplier and mill ourselves for a bit more. Opponent, of course, already down to 13. Now, they're advancing their mana very, very quickly, and that is terrifying to us. But yeah, all right, let's... This is unfortunate. We kind of wanted to have the Village Rites able to be up here, but I think this is important because we do want to scoot as much damage as possible. And yeah, if we got even just one more creature into the bin, which we did, Fiend Artisan goes up to a 3/3, which means we're attacking for 7 this turn. So it will drop our opponent down to 6, meaning we have a 2-turn clock. Now, admittedly, we were going to be able to attack for 6 and advance our board with a 1/1 as well, but if we're going to do it post-combat, and that would have been 2-turn clock as well, but if we're going to do that, we might as well do it pre-combat and actually scoot a little extra damage should we wind up milling over another card, right? All right, opponent doing a little scrying. Where does the scry go? It goes bottom. All right. Opponent untaps. They do have Blast Zone. They can kill our 2 Stitcher Suppliers, but of course they're on 6 life. That doesn't really do anything here. If they were able to crank the Blast Zone to 2 and crack that, that could potentially save them, but that's, of course, also not, you know, productive in this case, right? Opponent trying to do math, presumably. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get in and see what happens. As expected, our opponent's going to animate. It seems like they've got to block a 3-power creature. They do. It's Silversmote Ghoul. Okay, this is not a surprise. But the problem for our opponent doing this is that we get to sacrifice, and we still have lethal. This is the play we wanted our opponent to make. It's just, if our opponent was astute, they would not have made that play, because the other card we could have is Village Rites. Now, our opponent, unfortunately, missed the onboard sacrifice, so we didn't even have to spend the card. But if they had gone the other direction, and let's just say this was a generic 3/1 that had no abilities on it, we could still Village Rites. So our opponent had to be able to play around both this and the onboard thing, and they chose not to do so. The other thing they could do is, if they had some other kind of interaction, maybe, can't even imagine what that might be, but we could theoretically Village Rites away a Stitcher Supplier and potentially hit a Creeping Chill this turn as well, which we were likely to do, even if they did make the correct play and drop themselves down to 1 post-combat. So either way, good game, Kalantra. Good game. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are up against Freighter 94, and yeah, I mean, it's a little awkward. I think we only have 3 or 4 basics in the whole deck, and we have 3 of them in our hand, but I guess it's fine. I really don't want to mulligan this hand when there's nothing specifically wrong with it. It is not a good hand, for the record. Opponent going to do some milling for us. Holy crud. Thank you, opponent. Hopefully we don't do too much of our opponent's work for them, though. And kill ourselves. Oh, my word. Suddenly, I'm a little less excited. Oh, my word. Our opponent is off to a very fast start, folks. 2 Ruin Crabs is the way to victory. 2 Ruin Crabs plus a fetch land on 2 is just about as good as the mill deck can do. It is very, very, very strong. All right, so let's go ahead and get in. We're down to 37 cards in the library. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and advance the board with Silversmote Ghoul past the turn. It was tempting to Balagad Recovery this turn and then Skyclave Shade instead, so that next turn we could cast a Creeping Chill or even Uro, more likely Uro, but they've also very likely got Bounce. So we're doing it this way just in case we need to fire off Balagad Recovery to get a removal spell in case they came up with Bruvok. As they just did. Unfortunately, since none of our lands are dual lands, we're a long way from being able to cast this Uro. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I guess. I'm just going to advance the board with another Silversmote Ghoul. We didn't attack with it there because there's no reason to just suicide it into Bruvok for no gain. We still have 30. Holy cow. Good grief, folks. And the Bajuka Bog. All right. Are you for real right now? All of our Creeping Chills are in the bottom. And we don't get a land. Come on, man. This is unreasonable, to be certain. Still no land. Oh, my word. Man, the Shuffler is really on our opponent's side this time. Holy crud. All right, well, we can still kill them with our other 2 Creeping Chills as long as they don't have some kind of interaction for that, like a Tail's End or something like that. We still very well may have the win here. We should have 2 more Creeping Chills, I do believe. So I think there's only 1 there. Yes, okay. We get him? Holy cow, thank heavens, folks. Holy cow, that was close. All right, I'm sure that was not the matchup our opponent was looking for, but man, oh man, did it look like they were going to get us this turn. Jeez Louise. Whew. Turns out it was all right. Good game, opponent, good game. All right, folks, looks good. We do have blue mana shortage, but there aren't that many blue cards in the deck anyway. We do also have a Creeping Chill, which is basically a mulligan to 6, but if we did just remove this Creeping Chill, and this was the remaining hand, I would say this is just about the best 6-card hand we could ask for, so we're going to snap keep this. Not going to look back. All right, we're going to do a little bit of our opponent's job for them. Fire off a Stitcher Supplier after shocking ourselves. But that is only working under the assumption that our opponent's on Gruul aggro, which I think Gruul aggro is a fine choice right now. So, opponent makes a second land drop. Burning Tree Emissary? That's scary. We're going to go ahead and attack. I think they have Bone Crusher Giant up, folks. So considering that, I don't think we're going to run out the Fiend Artisan in case they have something crazy to do. So let's just fire off Stitcher Supplier. And let our Overgrown Tomb enter tapped. If they want a Bone Crusher Giant, one of our Stitcher Suppliers, we will send them a nice thank you note. Now, it is also relevant. We have 2 Silversmote Ghouls in the bin. Yes, indeed. Ghoul Spellbreaker coming on down as a 3/3 haste. We're going to snap off a block here. No question about it. Yeah, it only protects us from 1 damage. But more importantly, it sends cards over into our bin. This is what we want in this deck, right? So let's go ahead and Fiend Artisan. Get in for 1. Fiend Artisan is a 6/6 here. Feels good, man. And they won't currently have the board presence / mana base to be able to slam a Embercleave yet, which they almost certainly have. If they didn't have turn 2 plays like Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, Burning Tree, they likely kept a very, very powerful hand with things like Embercleave in it. Yeah, we're going to go ahead, I guess, and get in for 1. And read our Stitcher's Ghoul. At the beginning of your end step, yes. We have to do it now. X equals 3. Sacrifice Stitcher Supplier. We mill 3. We're going to go and grab an Uro, which both gains us some life, which is nice. Allows us to put a land in a battlefield, which is a tap land anyway, which is very nice. But more importantly, gets back 2 Silversmote Ghouls, which is very, very nice. Now, admittedly, our opponent's in pretty good shape themselves, but suddenly they're facing down a very real board, and they've got to worry about that. They can't just mindlessly swing in, you know, in situations like this. They likely have... Okay, yeah, there's the Bone Crusher Giant we were worried about. Gruul Spellbreaker coming on in. Hitting us squarely in the noggin for several points of damage. Yeah. So let's go ahead and get in with everybody. Opponent going to trade. Unfortunately enough for our opponent, that is exactly what we wanted here. Admittedly, they don't want to take too much damage, but we don't want to have them have enough board presence to be able to start slamming Embercleaves. So we're going to pay some life, get back an Uro. Please forgive me, grammar is hard. Which is going to gain us some life, which is going to bring all of our Silversmote Ghouls back, as well as, since we made a land drop, it's going to allow us to cast this Skyclave Shade as well. And, you know, it never hurts to be able to draw cards either, with, you know, Uro doing its thing. Our opponent now on 9 points of life, and we have 3 very, very expendable creatures with 3 power each, which, of course, amounts for 9 points of damage. Attacking with Uro truly is a privilege, and our Fiend Artisan just happens to be really large. What our opponent doesn't know is that we also have the Creeping Chill and the Call of the Death Dwellers, and, like, to be flatly honest, we've got it all, right? This hand really came together. Good game, Marino 5 color, but we got you this time. Good game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back here to have another look at our Dredge deck, and honestly, it performed pretty well. We really have a bad mono brown matchup, though. That is abysmal. We lost 3 times to mono brown. Now, admittedly, in the first game, you can see that if we get off to a fast enough start, we can beat mono brown. But, man, in all 3 of the other games, they got down the Shrine of Forsaken Gods, or whatever the heck that card is called, and just gained so much life. By the end of the game, they were on 30-some life or whatever every single time. So that was not great. But we won pretty much everything else there, and it performed well in those situations. So I'm not sure where we might improve. It might just be maybe 1 or 2 more self-mill creatures or something like that. It might just be that I'm supposed to draw better or mulligan more aggressively. With this style deck, you can mulligan relatively aggressively because you get all your card advantage from just things going to the graveyard anyway. So having the right 7 is, or the right cards to start the game is far more important than having 7 cards in your hand. So I definitely think there's a lot of potential here, and maybe with some of you folks' help, we could get this list to where we would like it, I think. Speaking of which, tonight, we're going to be playing this deck on stream, and it's going to be a great time. I would love to have you. The reason we have this format is to get your input. So if you're watching this before 6 p.m. Central Time, please comment down below and let me know how you might change it and fix things so that it would be maybe a little more finely tuned, and we can get some a few more wins with it. Maybe even against, maybe what, it might not hurt to have some kind of plan for mono brown or something as well. So, but anyway, put all those down in the comments below and let me know how you feel about it. We'll have to confer on this a little more because I do think there's definitely potential for upgrades. That said, you know, it also really helps the channel if you like it, and if you really enjoyed it, subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure you've heard this a lot, but it really helps because that's how YouTube knows to recommend my videos. So really easy thing to do, but it really helps me a ton. So doing that is very, very helpful. That said, I will catch you all later. Good night.